What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Showtime and as the Blades of King here with King's Critiques for another off top of my head review because Redo Healer is late, so there might be a double upload on Thursday, or I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll find out within the next few hours probably. Anyway, we're gonna start off with the first season of Sekirei because I still haven't watched the second season nor the reboot of it. It's about a dude who is, well, basically an exceptionally strong alien, and he has to wear these little doohickeys on his head while limiting his powers while leading a normal school life and, hang out with his friends. One of which, who is crazy by normal means, but is actually pretty damn close to figuring out what Psyche is. It's mostly a comedy anime, though there are a couple of scenes where he, uses powers to help people out from, robbers or other sort of evil goings-ons. Nothing, too crazy, though. It's a comedy anime made by the same people as Gintama, I think. They referenced each other's shows, so I'm gonna guess so. I only watched, half of the first episode of Season 2, so that's the only reason I know that. But, for what it's worth, it was a decent show, at least of what I remember. I might need to, rewatch the first season or just continue the second season with what I already remember. His friends are kind of weird here and there, and when I say weird, I mean weird. But they're a good group. It's a funny show from, again, what I remember. I say that a lot in these, though, but a lot of these I only saw once and don't really remember them too well, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's a show that's worth checking out. 12 to 20-ish episodes. Don't remember exactly how many. I can look. I mean, it says it's 120 episodes, so I'm guessing that's between both seasons, or some. I don't know. That's what Mail tells me, but I know it's definitely not that many because I would remember 120 episodes. But if it has that many episodes, that means it's definitely worth watching a few of to see if you like it, right? So, quickly moving into the next one, which is another comedic anime of sorts. Haven't you heard I'm Sakamoto, the dude who is cool and awesome at everything. Doesn't matter how, illogical it seems, he can do it. Sitting on an invisible desk? Got it. Putting out a fire with a spinning broom? He can do it. Has a random umbrella when someone tries to dunk water on him? Yup, he's there. So it's basically just all that kind of stuff as far as the show goes. Because it's about a really cool dude and a bunch of people who are pissed off that he's so cool. But then there are, of course, the people that like that fact about him. Mostly the girls, which I kind of relate on the guys that hate him for that. Because I have always been that kind of guy who's jealous of people who are a lot cooler than me. And I will continue to be such until the day comes that I have no reason to be. But, regardless, at first I didn't really care for this show. I watched a couple episodes, and because of how I am, I just didn't bother with it. I just kind of was like, whatever, and left it be for a couple of years. But then I eventually came back to watch it because I needed a good comedy anime to watch, and it actually wasn't that bad. How illogical a lot of the stuff of it was kind of annoyed me, but overall it was a good show. A couple of life lessons for you from the cool guy, which is definitely, it kind of reminds me of that buff guy meme where the strong guys are actually helping out the weaker dude. It's another one of those episodes that's worth or another one of those shows that's worth a few episodes. It has an OVA to it, so yeah, give it a try, see if you like it. I'm not gonna say it's a hardcore, you have to watch it if you're into comedy anime. It's worth checking out, though. So, that's another quick 2 minutes going into the next one, which is probably one of my favorite anime for the obvious reason. Here is Sakura Trick. This anime is legitimately just legitimately gay. Girl love gay stuff 100% of the time. Two girls living a normal school life, but they're also into each other. No, it's not about a sex thing like, say, Netherare. Well, the anime I basically said was Netherare. It's not like that was where the girls do a little bit more than kissing, which this is a lot of making out and, slice of life kind of stuff. I think they are just kind of friends who enjoy that kind of thing, or doing that kind of thing with each other for the most part. But in the last couple episodes, they kind of realize they have feelings for each other beyond just that. And start to, consider confessing to each other. I believe that they did in the last episode, and like that, it's honestly one of the few animes I went out to have somebody either buy me for a holiday or bought myself. Like, it's one of those that I actually wanted to keep handy on me in case I couldn't find it anywhere else, and it's just so sweet and heartwarming. Like, that's honestly all there is to it. It's one of the shorter ones, like 12 episodes. It's just a slice of life, heartwarming, good feeling, gay ass anime. And if you're into the Yuri thing, I'd recommend it, man, 100%. It doesn't have to be about the sex, it can be about the love sometimes. And then we take the dark turn of that topic. It doesn't have to be about sex to it's all about sex. To the anime, I will say, is my least favorite, most hated anime of all time. And this is going to probably be turned to what should be a quick no to a long-winded rant. School days. Now, I have explained many times before in this list that I love the yandere concept of anime. Your Mirai Nikki, Happy Sugar Life, Elfen Light, etc. But this show is just... I honestly regret wasting 6 hours on it, give or take. Like, this is the only show, I will say, throughout any of these reviews, that I regret watching. Because the first episode starts off innocent, guy loves girl, guy has best friend who has a secret crush on him. And that's all fine and dandy, because, his girl, who's a friend, tries to help him get the other girl as a girlfriend. And that again, that's all fine and dandy. But then it turns. Now, I imagine this show would probably be a little bit more tolerable had it been in hentai form, honestly, to where at least the despicable part could be seen to be a little bit more entertaining. It goes from that to a rumor getting spread around that he is the best guy at the school for having sex with, and, well, that turns into him banging every girl in the school. Literally, every single one of them. Regardless of the fact he ended up dating the one girl he wanted to be with, and he also banged his friend, who had feelings for him. And all that scummy shit went down through 10 episodes to culminate in the last couple episodes of said friend said that he got her pregnant, and the girlfriend ended up getting pissed. Shocker, right? So what happens when the girlfriend in an anime like this gets pissed? Well, it ends one very bloody way. The supposed pregnant friend ended up admitting that she wasn't when the girl was going to get violent with her, but that just made her more angry, and she stabbed the ever-living fuck out of this girl. And not only that, no, she got revenge on her boyfriend too, And, well, dead. Cut off his fucking head and took it to the middle of an ocean where the series just kind of ended with her cuddling the decapitated head of her boyfriend for cheating on her so much. And that was probably the best episode out of the entire series. So if you're going to bother to waste your time on this, either play the visual novel so you can at least see the sex scenes, or just watch the first and the last episodes and let that be that. Because this is the only anime I will 100% say out of anything and everything on this list that it is not worth watching all of. So watch those 2 episodes if you want to bother or waste your time with this, and have that be that. So, while I love everything that the studio that put this anime out does typically, this is a 2 thumbs and a dick down. See what I did there? Yeah, I just literally went on a 4 or 5 minute rant. Holy shit. See, that's how much I hate that show. I went off on every time I hear somebody bring it up. I go off. Like, people talk shit about Redo Healer. But here's the thing about Redo Healer, which this episode is only going up because Redo Healer is late, is the fact that A, Redo Healer actually shows the sex scenes. B, the main character isn't just a pure scumbag, he's actually doing it to get revenge on people. Not just, oh, I can fuck whoever I want, so I'm going to. Because, again, even, referenced in last week's episode, hey, I don't force girls to have sex with me, minus the manipulations from time to time, but I don't pin them down and screw their brains out. And technically this dude didn't either, but he knew he had a girlfriend, and like a typical, guy within the last, 20, 30-ish years, he just went ahead and fucked every girl he could anyway. And here's a life lesson for all you fans out there who might be guys or, whatever the hell the newer generation is calling themselves that's allowing multiple types of people to go into the same bathroom. Don't take life lessons from shows like this. People want to cancel Pepe Le Pew because he perpetuated the rape culture. That's ignorant because it's a cartoon and you can ignore cartoons. This is a Japanese cartoon, so similar concept, but still take a life lesson. Don't be a scumbag. Okay. And now we go from one bad anime about perversion to a good anime about perversion. This is also a little bit like Redo Healer, but in reverse. I don't know the big version of how to explain this. So, let's go with the basics of what the show's about. You have a bunch of people fighting over a singular power that have their own powers. And, have to, battle and fight each other to the death and, well, usually, and all that kind of stuff. But they need a source for extra power sometimes, and what source for extra power could this come from? Now, unlike in Redo Healer, not all of, or most of the characters who try to get this power are girls. Matter of fact, most of the ones who try to get this power are guys. And unlike in, the other show, it doesn't come from below, it comes from above. To quote the current trend on Game Grumps, it comes from big ol' mommy milkas. Obviously, it's not always from MILFs, but it is always from some pretty big-ass titties. That legitimately, that's it. If a character usually the main character in this case, who it's a guy named Sasha. He also has a German name or a Russian name, which makes more sense, but I don't remember what that is. Whenever he needs a power boost, or any of the other characters like him need a power boost, it's like, hey, you, girl who is my friend who decides to stick around for some reason, give me old titties. Wah, wah, baby Pharaoh wants a nipple. But yeah, that's essentially the, the plot of it. You know, it's a fighting anime. It's heavily ecchi. There is a lesbian pair in it that I appreciate quite a bit, maybe even two. I really need to finish the second season, so I'm talking primarily off the first season and a half, because I never finished the second season, but this was actually a pretty good show, like, ecchi aside. The fight scenes are all really good, and, like, the animation style, again, titties aside, really good. Excuse me. So this is another one of those that I'm going to say, if you like action and ecchi styled anime, you should check it out. You know, watch a few episodes, see how it is, because I personally enjoyed it, and it's a lot better than that train wreck of a show I just reviewed that I went on a huge rant about. So yeah, if you're a fan of action and ecchi, check it out, see how you feel. And, well, you know, speaking of action and ecchi, we're actually going to go into our next one, which is kind of like, well, not kind of like the last one, or, well, not kind of like Seikon no Qwaser, but has the action and ecchi aspects in Sekirei. I don't remember a lot about this. I just remember it's, you know, your action harem based anime where a lot of girls end up living with one guy, and obviously one of them has feelings for him, and the others kind of sort of do too, but not as much as the other one. You know, lots of nudity, bunch of fight scenes. I watched this like a decade or so ago, so I don't remember a lot about it, so it's just gonna be a short little quick yes or no, and of course I'm gonna say, like, I will not say no to anything as hardcore as I did the other one in this. But yeah, as far as Sekirei goes, kind of like Seikon no Qwaser, if you like the two aspects about it, action and ecchi, watch a few episodes, see how you feel. Simple as that. Now I'm going to move on to something that's less perverted, still kind of gay, and going to something I haven't talked about in quite a few letters, card games. But also kind of under the same classification as Magical Girls, but not. Actually, is it? Actually, yeah, I think it has both aspects. I don't remember a ton about this. I haven't watched the last two seasons that came out for it, so I still need to do that. I know ever since the letter, like, F, I've been saying that about quite a lot of anime. But Selector Infected WIXOSS, it's a show about a girl who had some sort of ambition, probably enjoyed the card game, and eventually had the chance to start playing, and it was one of those times where she got the chance to play against one of the, you know, top rated people just for fun, and due to plot bullshit, I think she either won or narrowly won. And man, I really wish I did remember this, because it was a really good show. It had me entranced in it, and I really want to go watch the other two seasons. But yeah, I'll just bring up, that's one of those shows that's card games, a dark backstory, kind of depressing, gay in some parts, but it's not like Sakura Trick, that's tons of it. There's just some of the more subtle undertones until I think the second half of the second season, where they actually show some stuff going on. But yeah, It's one of those shows where, you know, watch a few episodes, see how you feel. Personally, I really like the first 2 seasons, because obviously I intend on going back to the other 2 seasons. I think one's more of an alternate universe than a sequel to the first few seasons, but guess we'll review that when I get to it, huh? But, yeah. We're gonna go to the next one, which is Scorching Ping Pong Girls. Which, this is in that genre of female-based sports anime that I've really come to enjoy for not just the perverted parts like Keijo and a few others I plan on watching, but it's one of the more light-hearted kind of sports anime that features just a bunch of girls. You know, a girl wants to do something pertaining to a particular sport, and I don't remember if she gathered the team herself or if she joined an already active ping pong team. But it was one of those two things happened, and then it goes from a basic club in high school to them traveling together to compete in tournaments, including gaining this. Oh god. Okay, I thought I was gonna sneeze. Wait. I really don't want to sneeze on the thing if I can help it, you know. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted because I thought I was gonna sneeze. All right, yeah. Them traveling around, competing in tournaments, having summer retreat camps to try and get better, and also gaining some rivalries with other clubs and teams that are also competing in those tournaments. And honestly, this was not a bad show. Like, it was one of those shows where I can't tell if there was actually, like, powers per se in it, because it seemed like there was, or if it was just all mental. But, like, whatever powers did go on, it kind of made the show interesting in parts, because there was a lot of times when they were going to hit the ball that some bullshit happened and something else happened, and I know that's not a very good way to explain it, but it's as generic as I can explain it based on not seeing the show in a few years. But if you enjoy sports anime that can get kind of crazy sometimes with a little bit of a comedy twist thrown in, check it out, man. Pretty good. Speaking of pretty good anime, though, oh man, this is one of my favorites from when I was a kid, and I am so fucking happy this is gonna get returned on Netflix within the next couple of weeks, or is it the next month? Regardless, the original Shaman King. I cannot tell you how much I love this show. It's a show about primarily one boy who has a spirit to back him up in, you know, protecting the cemetery and his friends. And it just starts simple like that, but eventually progresses to him competing and fighting against other people who think they're more badass than him, who also have other spirits held within them. And then, of course, typical trope of a lot of shonen anime like this, because I'm pretty sure this was a Shonen Jump anime. Sadly, it didn't last as long as a lot of others, but again, thank you for the reboot. You know, it has its Shaman King tournament that goes on, and the unfortunate part is that it's one of those shows where the tournament, like, dissolved into a bunch of plot bullshit, and then sadly, even though it looked like it was going to get another season, it never did, and back then it made me so sad. But maybe, like with Fruits Basket, this will have a finish. Like, I'm not religious, but I'm going to pray to every anime-related god out there that this gets a finish like Fruits Basket is. So this is one of those things I'm going to say, if you like shonen anime, check it out. It is worth the watch. Even, like, I don't wait on the new one. Go watch the old one first. Because even for its time, the animation, not that bad. And it was a really good show. Like, just period. Okay. Now here's another anime I don't, like, love, but I don't hate as much as the one I mentioned a while back. Your Lie in April. A lot of people love this show. A lot of people absolutely adore this show, regardless of it being a tearjerker. But I will say one thing, the only thing I didn't, like, I only cried at one part, and that was when an animal died. Rather, like, I get it was for the plot, but it was kind of unnecessary, man. But it's about a boy who has mental trauma from the past of his mother going fucking buck nuts, who meets a girl who's a complete free spirit, and she has her own problems going on, but he doesn't learn about that until, like, halfway through. But the two seem to be able to, hang out and talk and chat just fine, even though he's a nerd and she's gorgeous. And eventually she finds out he's talented at the one thing she needs, because he used to be a piano player, she's a violin player, and they kind of work together really well. So she encourages him to get back at it, and eventually he does, albeit with a little bit of trauma to work through over time, which he does, as I recall, with her help. And he eventually finds out that she has some sort of illness where she will die if she doesn't get surgery and take care of it. And, well, I'm gonna just kind of give the whole spoiler warning here. That's one of those shows where she doesn't make it out of surgery. And in the last episode, it's basically that happens, he's all teary-eyed, and he eventually gets her violin with a note attached to it that says the words they probably should have said to each other while she was alive. I love you. Plain, simple as that. And that's probably the real emotional part for everybody. And reminiscing on it, honestly, it's sending shivers through my body. Probably because I know I probably will never experience anything like that. But self-depression aside, we're going to go to the next one and go from sad to funny. Shimoneta, the world where the concept of dirty jokes don't exist. That's a mouthful for ya. Heyo! That's what she said. Jokes like that, not in this show. Because it literally is as it sounds. Everything that could be considered dirty doesn't exist anymore, other than to a small group of people who are trying to rebel at the population. Now, granted, I could see the world kind of turning into a more fucked up direction of where this show started, at the rate things are going with everything being cancelled and changed. Honestly, it would be a lot. I would be part of the rebellion, though. And, it starts out simply with a guy meeting a girl who is part of this organization. She talks about a lot of perverted stuff and goes undercover with panties on her head and, throws around pornographic images just in public settings, not giving a shit. And near the end, it has a really heartfelt moment, let's say. I don't remember specifics, but I remember it was like them in the school and them surrounded by the police. But and let's not forget to add in that there's a girl who's a little bit of a pervert herself, who's the student council president, who was normally against the perverted stuff, but no girl who's against perverted stuff puts her love juice into cookies that she gives somebody. And yes, I mean exactly what I said. No, this is not like overly ecchi like some of the other shows I've mentioned before, but obviously it is a comedy show. So it's one of the more dirty comedy anime out there in my opinion, so it's one of those where I'm just gonna say the whole spiel of, if you like comedies that get a little bit raunchy and perverted from time to time, watch a few episodes, see how you feel. You know, Anna's funny despite being a little bit disgusting. The main girl is hilarious despite getting a bit too perverted sometimes. There are other characters that have a little bit of a twisted mind before they're even in that organization with the main character. But all in all, it's a good show in my opinion. And then we go from funny to horror, which this show has its last season currently airing, and I need to binge it to catch up to it before it ends in like a month, I think, a couple of weeks. I don't remember. But we have Attack on Titan. And man, this it's one of the more brutal horror anime that's out there, and yeah, I would classify it as a horror anime because there's a lot of blood and guts that spill. And it's kind of like Akame Got Killed too, where it's not just side characters that get killed off for random bullshit reasons. No, they're like, oh, you're a main character? That's cute. This isn't one of those shows. We're going to kill you because we want to. And that happens to quite a lot of people, at least throughout the second and third season. Throughout the first season, it's basically just the whole, the mind fuck of, oh, hey, you see this group of characters? We're going to get you to love them, care for them, despite some of them having problems with each other. And then in the next couple seasons, or in the next few seasons, we're going to take most of them away. Now, I'm not going to throw specifics in there, but there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of fight scenes, there's people being eaten, sliced at, cut up, crushed. Like, if you can name the style of death that happens, it probably happens. I was going to say minus poisoning, but I think even that happens once. People die, some people get resurrected, and like, I can't wait to binge the current running season and see what the show has to end with, whether it be a series finale or a movie that's coming out to be the series finale, because a lot of people are in talks that might happen, and I kind of hope so, depending on where they end off. But obviously, as it's one of the, most popular anime of the current era, watch it. It's completely worth the watch. Watch all the first season. It's not that long, and if you like it, keep going. It's a really good show. It's a little heartbreaking from time to time because of the people who die, but that just be how it is. Next up we have Izetta the Last Witch. This is another one of those shows with the whole gay undertones that I speak a lot about the anime I watch, which I think there's at least 2 more of those in the shows I need to watch, or need to list off. Yeah, 2 more from the anime I'm listing off just in this letter alone. But it's about a girl or a princess who finds a girl in an isolation chamber, and that girl ends up to be a witch. Now, this is taken within the World War II time era, so the princess is, like, at war with the Germans or whatever, and the Germans want to find and use the witch as their weapon to try and take down Britannia. And the princess is helping keep Izetta safe, and eventually ends up, teaming up with her to, instead of, giving her up to the Germans to save her own skin, she convinces Izetta to help them out, and So, there's a lot of good, fight scenes between magic and man-made war machines. There we go, that's what I was trying to say. Missiles flying at her, bullets being shot at her, and her using magic to repel every single one of them. And the last episode of the series is honestly one of the more touching things I've ever seen. And, of course, there's those gay undertones I mentioned before. Maybe even an overtone at one point or another, but it's on the shorter side, completely worth watching. So if you like seeing it's basically like it's kind of like how Full Metal Alchemist was, but instead of it being completely dark and heart-wrenching, it's just a little dark and heart-wrenching, and it's a lot shorter about gay girls. So if you like the concept of it being in Nazi times and the Nazis being killed by a hero, then this is the show for you. I'm not going to say what thought just entered my head, because that might seem a little bit obnoxious. So I'm just going to move on to the next one, which is another popular anime that everybody loves, Soul Eater. Soul Eater is another one of those shows where, a group of kids has... Well, I can't say it's another one of those shows. It's actually the first show of its like, kind of. It has some ecchi thrown in, but it's not, like, heavily implied. It's just, like, usually done for jokes, as opposed to just, like, hey, here's some titties. Okay, well, minus the first episode, but you can't really count on Blair for much. But it's about a group of kids who reap souls from bad people, and they use weapons that can turn into humanoid form to try and assist them in these missions. And it starts out simple like that for like the first half of the series, and then they get into having an actual antagonist near the end who ends up being a complete bitch, even though she's actually pretty hot, but that's neither here nor there. And it's another one of those where I'm going to say there's a lot of good fight scenes, a few funny moments thrown in here and there, bunch of character arcs, plot development, etc. I think there's some more stuff they could have done, but I'm not really upset about what they did do. It's one of the more popular shows of all time and will always be one of my favorites, so I'm going to do the usual. Go and watch it. It's really good. I think it's still on Netflix. And now for the alternate universe / a little bit of gay version, Soul Eater Not. Same concept of it's a bunch of kids in a school with humanoid weapons. But in this one, it's about 3 girls primarily, 2 of which are trying to get one to be their weapon because they don't have a weapon yet. and it's kind of a love triangle at the same time, in a way. And instead of just the one villain from the other show, there's like 2 or 3 main villains in this one who are actually siblings of the main villain in the first one. And the characters from the first one are still in this one. They're just taking a backseat to the new characters, playing more of a supporting role. Which I actually kind of like that they included the other characters into this one. Gave it a little bit of an extra spice of things. Their attitudes were slightly different, but they were still really likable. Everyone in this show was likable. I don't remember a lot about their personalities and whatnot. Honestly, I would be tempted to go back and watch this again just to give a full review because it was that good, in my opinion. But as I've said many times, I'm also into that kind of thing, so. But if you watch the first one and you liked it, and you like shows with that kind of stuff in it, check it out. See how it is. Oh, this is a lot of talking. Alright. Oh, sorry. Next we have another one of my favorite anime of all time, Steins Gate. Steins Gate is one of those mind-fucky anime. Like, just completely mind-fucky. Because in the first episode, guy meets girl, and guy attends lecture, and after the lecture, he hears a noise and goes to explore it, and finds said girl he meets dead. And that triggers the entire whole thing of the anime. Oh, and don't forget the part where he receives a text message on his phone about the incident having happened and them finding out they can do time travel, so he figures, hey, I'm gonna go back to save that girl. And that's when the true plot of the first season starts. So he goes to attempt that about... Let me actually just... If you've seen shows like ReZero, for example, or Erased, this is kind of like that. He goes in time multiple times to try and fix one problem, but then new stuff just keeps happening to become bigger bullshit. So, long and short of it, spoiler warning, after going through all that, the last episode of the first season basically ends with him being like, okay, so I have a choice. Either I keep things how they are, or my other friend ends up dead so I can save this girl. Oh, that combined with him, figuring out some secrets about people he thought he knew better about. And using those secrets to have him, do better the next time around. And then the second season, kind of expands on that to where not only does he make that decision at the end of the first season, but then he has to live with that, and a whole bunch of other stuff happens, including meeting his niece from the future. And she tells him something happened, so he has to figure out how to help her out. And he goes through some panic attacks and all that kind of stuff while trying to figure out how to help her out. And it's one of those shows where there needs to be another season. There needs to be. And if the rest of the fucking story gets explained in the manga, somebody tell me, because I will read that damn manga. Because the end of the last episode of the second season basically left off on a, hey, there's going to be a third season to wrap all this up in a neat little bow. Because he accomplished his mission, at least his main goal of helping his niece out. And like, it took him years to do it, but he eventually did it. Spoiler warning. So, overall, for this show, 100%, if you enjoy shows like that, where it's kind of a mindfuck, but also really good and entertaining, and it keeps your mind in the action, go watch it. It is 100% worth it. Little depressing at times, but completely worth checking out. And now going through all that, I'm go through a couple of anime I barely remember anything about, so I'll just give the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing, and we'll probably say thumbs up for both. First, we have Gargantia on the Horrendous Planet. I don't remember a lot about this show. I remember there's a dude who crashes on a strange planet, meets some people, they're nice, but they're also in danger. There's mechs involved, so he decides to help them out with his own mech. And that's actually all I remember of it. So, yeah. I'm gonna just say the whole, it's on Netflix. Check it out if you want. At least it should still be on Netflix. Check it out if you want. It was good as I remember. I don't remember how good, but good enough to where I'm not talking immediate shit about it. Okay. And we'll move into the next one here, which is going to be Desert Punk. Another show that I remember barely anything about. Has one of the best voice actors of all time as the main character, though, so they're already doing something right there. It's comedic, has a few ecchi moments here and there. Lots of action scenes. It's obviously based in the desert. It's about a dude who kind of does what he wants, and half the time it's to help out other people. There's a girl who's trying to fuck with him, and he's kind of letting her, but also kind of not letting her. Yeah. So, yeah, that's actually all I got for you. If you can find it, I think it's on Netflix. If not, it might be on Hulu. Watch a few episodes, see how you like it, because it was decent when I watched it, and yeah, that's about it. Then you have another one, which is the original show of something I reviewed in the last, or a couple episodes ago of this off the top of my head series, The Meloncholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, which consists of two seasons and a movie, and there, it's one of those weird anime I can't really say a lot about. You know, there's a girl who believes in all the kind of weird stuff in the world, you know, aliens, espers, time travel, etc., etc. And a guy who kind of calls her out on her bullshit. And the show basically goes through everyone being like, oh yeah, she's weird, but she's kind of cute, and blah, 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 blah. But then he finds out that these things actually do exist, but she can't know because, spoiler, she's basically God. Everything, if she gets too stressed out or any huge emotional burst happens, something bad happens to the world around them. And there are other people who are trying to make use of this power of hers that she doesn't know she actually has. And it ends up in a couple of fight scenes here and there. But for the most part, it's kind of a comedy show. Oh, I didn't actually put a timestamp. I thought I put a timestamp on that. Whoops. I'm gonna just go back as far as I can for the timestamp and hope people track back a bit. Whoopsie daisy. But yeah, it ends with her having a lot of crazy ideas and schemes and creating her own little club to try and help people out if they have any kind of issue. You know, she schemes a bunch of equipment all from the AV club and computer club to make use of in her club room. It involves a girl wearing a lot of outfits to, you know, push the perversion. But other, like, and the movie was about her basically, like, not existing for some reason or another. I don't remember exactly the plot of the movie, but overall, it was a really good show. Season 2 has an arc where for 8 episodes, they basically do the same thing over and over again until the end of the 8th episode. So you can probably watch the first episode and the 8th episode, and you'll probably get the entire, you know, plot of what went on. This is gonna end up being an hour long. Holy shit! And here we are with another anime that I have not seen the recent seasons of, but for a much better reason than I just haven't had the time. I just haven't wanted to. Which is another anime that people talk a lot of shit about, Sword Art Online. The first 2 seasons were really, really good, honestly. Like the original and then Elfheim that turned into Gun Gale. All really good. You know? People getting trapped in a virtual world that they want to just play for fun. And then the main character having to, you know, go out on his own so he didn't have to work with other people and be looked at weird. But that eventually turns into him making some new friends other than the friend he already had, finding a wife, and having to save said wife, not only in the virtual world from some shit going on. Well, actually, no, that doesn't come till later, but, you know, he fights the main bad guy and wins, rescuing everyone. Then he has to go into the real world and beat the shit out of somebody who's trying to do something perverted. And in the second season, I don't remember a lot about Elfheim. He has to rescue his wife from that perverted person again and beat the shit out of them. In the second half, Gun Gale, he has to compete in a tournament to try and find out who's actually committing murders in real life. And then at the end of the season, he has to kick the shit out of someone who's about to sexually assault a girl. Again, different girl this time, you know, new friend, not girlfriend. But I haven't watched the other, like, the recent seasons, you know, Alicization or something of the underworld or whatever. There's also a movie I do need to watch because that doesn't look too bad. But like the recent seasons are a lot more rapey than just Kirito sees a guy about to commit sexual atrocities and beats the shit out of him. No, apparently a lot of stuff actually does happen in that season, but maybe one day I'll try to watch it and see how it is, but the whole rape thing isn't my deal. Like, despite how I seem from watching Redo Healer, it's not. So here's the last one of this episode. Thankfully, I'm kind of hurting in my throat. Despite taking a few sips of my drink, I've been talking for an hour. We have the alternate story, which is literally called Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online, which is based on an alternate world of the last half of the second season. But in this one, it kind of has the aspects of the whole gay undertones of a lot of shows I've went over, not just in this episode, but a lot of other episodes of this series. Where there's a girl who decides to play the game, knows nothing about guns, so she just, enters the world, buys some things that look cute for her equipment, and actually ends up to be a natural talent to where she impresses one of the most talented players on the server. And after playing together for a while, they decide to meet in real life and, head it off as friends. At least that's the overtone they gave us. There's a lot of backstory stuff and deep-seated character arcs that happen in just the short 12 to 20-ish episodes. I don't remember exactly how many, and I could look, but meh. But, it's like with Soul Eater Not. If you enjoy that kind of thing, the gay undertones and still really good fight scenes and character arcs and such, check it out, watch it. I really loved it. Hopefully you guys do too. But I'm going to wrap that up here because I am winded from talking so much. So if you enjoyed all those reviews and you have any others you wish to give, please do comment down below because I would always appreciate hearing your thoughts on what anime I should watch. Don't forget to hit the like button, ring that bell, like Facebook, follow Twitter and Twitch because I stream every single day, and subscribe to both YouTube channels. And fuck school days. It's been the Blazer King with King's Critiques signing out. Ta-ta for now. Peace.